I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Patriots. We have some breaking news coming out of the White House as well as out of the Middle East. News has actually been breaking for the past several hours, but I did not want to come on and report about it yet because we've heard this many times before, and terrorists are known for making promises and then backpedaling and not living up to their end of the bargain. And this has been ongoing with the issue with Hamas holding the Israeli hostages from their October 7th attack on Israel. That being said, now President Trump has come out and given an address about the issue. So I felt that with him doing that, I would go ahead and pull the trigger on this and release the information in hopes that this all comes together and peace comes upon Gaza, Palestine, and Israel. So let's start by discussing this. Hamas today announced it agreed to release all of the Israeli hostages, dead and those that are alive, as part of President Donald Trump's Gaza peace proposal. Leaders also indicated they were prepared to enter mediated negotiations to finalize the deal. Based on the statement issued by Hamas, I believe they're ready for lasting peace, Trump said. Israel must immediately stop the bombing of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly. Right now, it's far too dangerous to do that. We're already in discussions on the details to be worked out. This is not about Gaza alone. This is about long-sought peace in the Middle East. The announcement came hours after Trump issued a public warning to the terrorist group, noting its leaders would be hunted down and killed if the remaining hostages were not released by this coming Sunday evening. Trump last week unveiled a 20-point peace plan calling for an end to Israel's military occupation, the disarmament of Hamas, and the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip under a Palestinian governing body overseen by an international coalition that will be led by the U.S. Though Hamas agreed to return all 46 hostages, its statement did not address the disarmament. Israel has not yet publicly commented on the actual announcement, although a spokesperson for Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a post on X, the country welcomes Hamas' announcement and supports an immediate ceasefire to facilitate the safe and swift release of hostages and to achieve rapid results that stop the bloodshed of our Palestinian brothers in the Gaza Strip. Qatar announced it has started coordinating with its mediation partners in Egypt in cooperation with the U.S. to advance discussions on a plan aimed to bring an end to the war. French President Emmanuel Macron also weighed in on social media, thanking Trump for his commitment to peace. The release of all hostages and the ceasefire in Gaza are within reach. Hamas' commitment must be followed up without delay, he said. We now have the opportunity to make decisive progress towards peace. France will play its full part in line with its efforts at the United Nations alongside the United States, Israel, and the Palestinians, and all of its international partners. The conflict, as you may recall, began on October 7th of 2023, when Hamas launched a surprise assault on Israel, firing rockets, breached border defenses, and stormed communities more than a dozen miles from Gaza. Hamas killed approximately 1,200 people, most of whom were women and children, and abducted roughly 250 others. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, which is affiliated with Hamas, they claim that more than 60,000 Palestinians have been killed since the initial attack. The White House did not immediately provide comment, though Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt shared a photo of 2X of Trump in the Oval Office, noting he will respond to Hamas' acceptance of his peace plan. Now, Trump has just now released that statement, and we will take a look at that right now.
Countries that helped me put this together: Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents, and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East, and we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
Okay, so that's what Trump just put out within the past 45 minutes. I want to read to you the statement that Hamas has released on Hamas' response to U.S. President Trump's proposal. Out of kindness to end the aggression and genocide being carried out against our steadfast people in the Gaza Strip, and stemming from national responsibility and in defense of the constant rights and higher interest of our people, the Islamic resistant movement Hamas has conducted an in-depth consultation within the leadership institutions, broad with the Palestine forces and factions, and with our brothers, mediators, and friends, in order to reach a responsible position in dealing with United States President Donald Trump's plan. After thorough study, the moment has been made, its decision conveying the following response to the mediation. Hamas appreciates the Arab, Islamic, and international efforts, as well as the efforts of the U.S. President Donald Trump, calling for an end to the war in the Gaza Strip, the exchange of prisoners, the immediate entry of aid, the rejection of the occupation of the Strip, and the rejection of the displacement of our Palestinian people from it. Within this framework, and in a manner that achieves an end to the war and a full withdrawal from the Strip, the movement announces its approval of release of all occupation prisoners, both living and remains, according to the exchange formally contained in President Trump's proposal, with the necessary field conditions of implementing the exchange In the context, the movement affirms its readiness to immediately enter through mediators into negotiations to discuss the details. The movement also reaffirms its approval to hand over the administration of the Gaza Strip to the Palestinian body of independent based on Palestinian national customs and support by Arab and Islamic backing. As for other issues included in President Trump's proposal concerning the future of the Gaza Strip and the intellectual rights of the Palestinian people, this is tied to a collective national position and in accordance with relative international laws and resolutions to be discussed within a comprehensive Palestinian network framework in which Hamas will be included and will contribute with full responsibility. And it is signed the Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas. Now, based on that, all your major news media outlets out there are reporting that a deal has been reached. And then President Trump has come out and, well, you just heard what he had to say. I, for one, will believe it when it actually takes place, because what I got out of reading their statement is that they want other conditions. What I got out of reading that statement is that they want to be part of what's going to happen with Palestine and Gaza moving forward. At no point do they talk about disarming. At no point do they talk about leaving or turning over control. None of that. In the past, when Trump has made threats towards them and said that you either release the hostages or all hell will break loose, then the time frame comes and passes, the hostages don't get released, and all hell does not break loose, other than Israel continuing to bomb Gaza and Palestine, trying to kill Hamas terrorists. Now, has 60,000 Palestinians been killed? I don't know. That's what the ministry there is saying. But what we do know for a fact is that Hamas uses civilians as shields. Hamas puts their command and control structure and their military forces in hospitals, in schools, in grocery stores, in places that military forces would not normally attack and bomb. So when you do that, there is little to no choice. If you're going to kill the terrorist and they happen to be conducting their military operations out of a hospital, guess what? That hospital just became a target. That is why not only has President Trump from day one had taken office in January, but Israel has stated this over and over and over again to the people of Palestine and the Gaza Strip: get the hell out of there. Get away. They told them where to go, how to go, and how they will be received when they get there as refugees. Get out of the hospitals, get out of the schools, get out of the department stores, get out of the places that you know, because you live there, it's your place. You know Hamas is operating out of there. So get out of there so we don't kill you in the process of killing the Hamas terrorist. That being said, anybody that's left behind, I'm sorry, is collateral damage. That's how war works. When you have people that are sick enough to use women and children and innocent civilians as human shields to try and protect you, there's no other way of doing it. You can try and negotiate. Israel tried that, it didn't work. The Biden-Harris administration tried that, it didn't work. Trump comes along and starts making threats. None of the threats work. Now, once again, he gives another threat that you have till Sunday to release these hostages, or all hell will break loose. What does that mean? Now, we do know that just a few days ago that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, gathered up all the generals from the military services and gave them a pep talk and a come to Jesus meeting about how we're going to conduct business moving forward and do away with the wokeness of our military. What we don't know is things that were discussed outside of that as for what the future holds for Hamas. Now, I can tell you, without going into any great detail about it, because I'm not authorized to talk about it, I'm just going to share with you some information I received from friends that are still in the military, they're in the Pentagon, and members of Congress as well, that there are already plans in place in military forces of the United States and other NATO nations and a coalition over there ready to go in and eliminate everybody that is affiliated with Hamas. Not just there in Palestine and Gaza, but in other places where the Hamas leadership has been hiding out, because they're not hiding out in Gaza and Palestine. And we know exactly where they're at. And there is a target on their heads. So, a lot more to come with this. This is a breaking story. It's very fluid. Will this all come to fruition? Will they all be released by Sunday? I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. All we know is what we've watched happen over the past, since October 7th, 23, when this all went down. This horrible, brutal attack. And I've shared with my listeners for quite some time now about who are Hamas troops. Who are they? If we're killing them, if Israel is destroying them and killing them by the thousands, where do they get the recruits from? You think there's just some job placement program sitting off to the side somewhere to bring in terrorists? No. They come from those in Palestine. They're Palestinians. They're Rashida Tlaib's brothers and sisters. They're willing to die for the cause. The same people that were too weak to root out terrorists ahead of time and get rid of them. They could easily overwhelm them. In the beginning of this, there was only a few thousand Hamas terrorists in Palestine, compared to over 1 million able-bodied men in Palestine that could have done something about this and got rid of these terrorists from their country. But they didn't do that. They allowed Hamas to flourish and continue to spread like a fungus and destroy everything about them. And now, sadly, here in America, we have college students across campuses whining and bitching and complaining, and members of Congress like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC that go to these campuses and cheer on these homegrown terrorists right here in our colleges that are siding with Hamas. So it is really a horrible situation. And I, for one, pray that we're at the end of this runaway train and we're going to put peace back in the Middle East. And if that happens, well, we're only got one place left to come to an end, and that would happen to be the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is an ongoing work in progress with the United Nations, all of our coalition, and a lot of things are about to change there that some of you have already heard about. We've already authorized for Ukraine to have Tomahawk missiles to be able to strike in the heart of Russia and their capital. So in the very near future, I see a peace deal happening there, or all out Armageddon and nuclear war. One of two things is about to happen when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. Either Russia is going to back down and withdraw their troops because Tomahawk missiles are going into Moscow and killing them, or Putin is going to launch nuclear weapons and then the war will come to an end. Either way, one of those two things are going to take place in the very, very near future. If Trump pulls this off and this does become a lasting deal and these hostages do get released by Hamas over in Palestine and Gaza, we've already agreed, along with our NATO forces, we will go in there, we will rebuild that place and make it a place that will be, the Palestinian people will be able to live and be able to flourish. We just won't allow terrorists to go back in there and take over that country like they allowed to happen in the first place. And then, if he can stop what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, well, Donald Trump will become, literally go down in history as probably the greatest leader when it comes to peace that the world has ever seen, and should get the Nobel Peace Prize, because this would be a big ass deal. If he can get these two conflicts to come to an end, and both of them, as I speak, are close to coming to an end, one way or the other. As I said, it's a very fluid situation. There are a lot of things happening back and forth. I'm getting a lot of text messages from people in the know that are in the Pentagon, that are in the military, as to what they're looking at doing. And I do believe that Hamas has seen the writing on the wall. They obviously saw what we did to Iran. We finally had enough, and Trump said, we're done with you, and went in there and blew them back to the Stone Age. I believe Hamas sees the writing on the wall. I hope they do. I pray they do. And I hope that you will join me in that as well. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday night for another live broadcast. I hope you will join me. If something does break of major importance, as such as this, I will be more than happy to come on and talk about it or do a video about it. But until then, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America, and may God please help put an end to these current conflicts happening across the Middle East and happening in Ukraine with Russia. Thank you. God bless you. And I'll see you all next Tuesday. Good night.